what are the best games on the Oculus Quest? There's a little something for everyone, so let's take a look. First up, sports games. Since sports games have such a broad genre, I'm going to pick my top 3, and we're starting with Thrill of the Fight, the amazing boxing simulator. In Thrill of the Fight, you get to face off against progressively harder opponents, while physically moving inside of the ring. This game can be played in a small-ish Guardian, but I recommend finding the biggest space you can and playing it because it makes the experience that much better. Oh, and trust me, you will be sweating. The Quest is what really makes this game the best it can be because you're able to freely move around and dodge and weave around your opponent while landing well-placed and hard-hitting blows. Speaking of well-placed punches, the hitboxes are very particular in this game, and that increases the level of difficulty, so you're far better off calculating each punch and combo than just swinging like crazy. Thrill of the Fight costs $9.99. Next up is my personal favorite sport, football. Don't let the visuals fool you with this game. 2MD VR Football is a ton of fun, and it has one of the best throwing mechanics I've ever seen in VR. This game puts you in the helmet of a quarterback who has 2 minutes to score and win the game. The gameplay in this game consists of 2-minute drills with you commanding the offense and playing as the quarterback to make a comeback and win the game in the last 2 minutes. Even though this game doesn't include defensive gameplay, the mechanics and the challenge of coming back from behind is thrilling. You can customize your team's colors and choose a logo for your team. The game is set up in an arcade style where you keep playing 2-minute drills as they progressively get harder until you lose a game. If you're a fan of football at all, I say give this a shot as I love it. 2MD VR Football is $14.99. The last sports game on the list is technically considered a sport, although I feel like it's more of a relaxing game, and that game is Real VR Fishing. Real VR Fishing is one of the best looking games on the Quest due to the way that they captured real locations to be used in the game. In fact, my dad tried it a few days ago for the first time and was shocked at how realistic it looked. In this game, you go fishing at different locations from the shore or even from a boat. Recent updates have even added saltwater fishing to the mix. There are a ton of different fish to catch, and you can't help but just get lost in the environments as you listen to the water lapping on the shore or the rain pelting the water. The game is already awesome, but the team behind Real VR Fishing are continuing to bring more content to the game on a regular basis, including the addition of more locations in the future and even a multiplayer mode. Real VR Fishing is $19.99. Now, let's talk zombies. The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is coming to the Quest later this year, but what zombie games should you be playing while you wait? There are 3 zombie games currently on the Quest, ranging from $14.99 to $39.99. But which one should you get? Well, to be honest, it depends on what you're looking for, as they're all fun. Drop Dead Dual Strike is a great arcade shooter similar to the House of the Dead arcade games. You won't be able to freely move around, instead you'll be on rails shooting at zombies coming from all directions. The story mode is unique, outlandish, and just plain crazy, but it is a ton of fun. There's also a fun multiplayer horde mode as well. This game is $14.99. Death Horizon is my personal favorite as far as straight up zombie shooters on the Quest, as I think that it's got an interesting story, great gameplay, and the developers are consistently updating the game with plans to add even more content and a multiplayer horde mode in the future. Plus, it's a great value at $19.99. Unlike Drop Dead, you'll have full control over your locomotion in this game. In Death Horizon, you have to battle your way through a zombie-infested government facility while climbing and blowing the heads off of the zombies you encounter, which will be a lot, by the way. As I mentioned, they are consistently working on updates for the game, and there are some awesome stuff in the works. Lastly, we have the most expensive of the bunch, Arizona Sunshine, which is $39.99. Just like with Death Horizon, this is a more traditional zombie shooter in that you're in control of the locomotion. But instead of being in a government facility, you have to survive out in the scorched Arizona desert. The story mode in this game is entertaining and the gameplay works well, but it's the horde mode that makes this game fun. There are multiple locations you can head to with friends and do your best to survive the continuing onslaught of zombie enemies. The character visuals get kind of crazy in VR with arms and legs kind of going nuts among other crazy things, but that almost adds to the hilarity of the game. Aside from horde mode, you also get a co-op mode, so you can play through the game with friends as well. Alright, now how about some music rhythm-based games? Everyone is automatically going to say Beat Saber, and although I do enjoy Beat Saber, I'm going to leave it off of this list just because it's already so well known and pretty much everyone says that. First, let's talk about O-Shape, the newest music game on the Quest. This isn't really a rhythm game as much as a music game. O-Shape is based on the concept behind the Hole in the Wall TV show, but in VR and set to music. You'll be flailing your arms all around, jumping back and forth, and squatting to fit into the open spaces on the walls. With a decent amount of pre-built tracks and the ability for custom tracks out of the gate, this is shaping up, yes, I just did that, to be another successful music game on the Quest. You might not be punching, slashing, or shooting blocks, but it's unique and it's fun, especially to watch some play from the outside. Next on the list should be no surprise, and that game is Pistol Whip. Yet again, not so much a rhythm game, but a music game where you'll shoot enemies to the beat of the music, almost creating your own music and rhythm from the sounds of the gunshots. This game is a ton of fun, and it can also be very challenging. From the art style to the thumping music, everything about this game gets your heart pumping and makes you feel like you're an action hero. Plus, they keep releasing new tracks, which just adds even more value to the $24.99 price tag. If you want to feel like you're the next Keanu Reeves, then this will do it. Last in the music category is a true rhythm game, and one I think doesn't get quite enough attention, and that game is Synth Riders. Synth Riders is a combination of dance and rhythm game that will have you nodding to the synthetic music and waving your hands back and forth. The game comes with 31 tracks, but like O-Shape, Synth Riders supports custom songs as well. In this game, you follow the lines and hit the orbs with the proper hands. It sounds simple, but trust me, it gets challenging, and you'll wind up twisted into a pretzel a time or two as you get used to it, but that's what makes it fun. The longer you play, the better you'll get, and soon you'll be spinning around the room dancing like a professional. Synth Riders is $16.99. Since we just talked about music games, let's quickly mention the best workout game for the Quest. When it comes to strictly workout games, the only game I'm going to add to this list is Box VR. I use Box VR on a regular basis because I like the music and I love the burn you get from the longer sessions. Box VR is like the workout counterpart of Beat Saber in that you'll be punching colored targets to the beat of the music. Unlike Beat Saber, you'll pick a workout that'll keep you going for a set length of time. Box VR is my choice if you're looking for a specific workout game, but many of the games we've mentioned before work great as well, specifically games like Beat Saber and Pistol Whip. But the best overall game to get your heart rate up and get you moving is Thrill of the Fight. I think alternating Box VR and Thrill of the Fight is a great way to get your cardio in. Box VR is $29.99. Now it's time for some action and adventure. When it comes to action and adventure, that sounds really broad to me, but the first game I love that fits that bill on the Quest is Journey of the Gods. Journey of the Gods has been compared to The Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker, and I tend to agree with that comparison. In Journey of the Gods, you set out as a brand new hero to battle the evil creatures brought on by the Chaos Moon. This is a first-person action-adventure game with magic, sword combat, and even upgrades for the weapons and your armor. It's a wonderful VR adventure game that feels like a real game and not like a tech demo. The art style may be on the simple side, but it looks great in-game, and the gameplay and the mechanics are a lot of fun. Even though this game was released at the launch of the Quest, I still think it's well worth jumping into. Journey of the Gods is $29.99. Another action-packed game I love on the Quest is Path of the Warrior. This has become one of my favorite games to show people and to get people excited about VR, as it harkens back to the age of arcade games like Double Dragon and Streets of Rage, but it shows what it's like to experience such a game in VR. The combat is funny and works great with the ability to use almost anything from the environment to slash, smash, and just all around pulverize the baddies as you work to clean up the streets of your city. The locations are fun, and each one has a different feel. The bosses are challenging and hilarious, and what sets this over the top for me is the ability to play it all in co-op, just like the old arcade games. If you're a fan of the arcade-style beat-em-up games, this one is awesome. Path of the Warrior is $19.99. Next, let's talk third-person platformers. If you've never played a third-person platformer or game in VR, then you've missed the boat. It's a totally different experience, and one of the best games to play is Moss. In Moss, you help Quill on her epic journey as you'll solve puzzles, fight villains, and build a connection to this cute and lovable little mouse. This game has a stellar story that'll keep you interested and riveted, and the gameplay is as polished as any platforming game I've ever played before. Moss is a must-have, in my opinion, even if you don't enjoy platformers. Moss is $29.99. One other game I want to mention that isn't so much a platformer but a third-person story-based puzzle game is Ghost Giant. Having just released on the Quest, Ghost Giant is one of the most touching and emotional stories I've played in a while. Build a connection with Lewis as a giant ghost who helps him solve and overcome problems and struggles as you play through this adventure. The writing and storytelling in this game is just amazing, and the execution and gameplay is just as good. It'll keep you captivated and emotionally connected. Even though this was just released, this is just an amazing game, and I highly recommend it. Next, how about some gunplay? When I think of shooting games on the Quest, I think of two different games. Well, technically four, but one is a side-loaded game, and one I have on another list. First, I think of Gun Club VR. This isn't your traditional FPS where you're running around blasting bad guys, but I have this on the list because there is so much to the game. Just the customization alone is insane. There are so many different weapons and customization options you can choose that it feels like it would take forever to explore all of them. Then you add in sandbox mode and it gets even crazier. There is general target practice, a zombie mode, hostage situations, sniper challenges, plus the realism of the weapons in the game is awesome. Gun Club has a lot to offer and is a lot of fun. Gun Club VR is $19.99. The second game I think of is a stealth action shooter, and that game is Aspire 1. At launch, people were running into issues with the game and there were problems popping up, but since then, they have done a lot to make changes and bring about fixes to the game, from graphical upgrades to better NPCs. In Aspire 1, you take on the role of an Aspire operator and you're tasked with sneaking around a government facility that is locked down, eliminating enemies and working your way through the facility. This is a true stealth action shooter, from knocking someone out by pistol whipping them to even using your own voice to say freeze. There are some awesome moments in this game that'll plaster a grin across your face. Aspire 1 is $29.99. Who's up for a good puzzle? When it comes to puzzle games, there are two different kinds I'm going to mention. The first is the more narrative free-roam puzzle game, and my favorite of those games is Red Matter. Red Matter is still visually one of the best games on the Quest, and the eerie story and challenging puzzles in the game make for an overall amazing and very memorable experience. In Red Matter, you're sent to one of Saturn's moons to investigate a top-secret research facility. The facility is abandoned, and it's up to you to discover what has happened there and why. Although this isn't a jump scare game, it can get a little creepy at times with the tone of the game. This still stands as one of my favorite VR experiences on the Quest from any genre. Red Matter is $24.99. The other type of puzzle game is a more traditional puzzle game that tasks you with solving puzzles in your environment, but sets you in one spot to do so, and doesn't have you following a linear path. There are a couple of just amazing games on the Quest that fit this category, but one of my favorites, and one of the most unique, is A Fisherman's Tale. In this game, you work with yourself as you break the laws of physics and scale to solve the mind-bending puzzles. You play as a puppet sea captain, and your goal is to make your way to the top of the lighthouse to turn on the light due to an impending storm. That proves to be much more than just climbing a ladder, as you work to solve puzzles that'll keep you scratching your head and then laughing with understanding as you solve them. A Fisherman's Tale is $14.99. It's time to bring along a change of underwear as we check out some horror games. The first horror game I recommend on the Quest has to be Dread Halls. Although the concept and game look simple, and I've gotten comments from people saying that it doesn't look scary, you have to play it to understand. In Dread Halls, you make your way through the dark hallways and rooms of a procedurally generated dungeon, which means you'll never get the same experience twice. All you have at your disposal are some lockpicks and a lantern that is continually burning through oil, so you have to make sure you keep it filled up. From the hair-raising music to the spine-tingling sound effects, this game is more of a suspenseful, slow burn game, and it'll keep you on your toes the entire time. That's not to say there aren't scary moments, but the atmosphere is what sells the terror in this game. Dread Halls is just $9.99. This next one is a great way to scare the crap out of your friends and family. Affected the Manor is a virtual haunted house of sorts, and it's designed to be one of the scariest experiences in VR. The game is all about the jump scares and the scary atmosphere. Choose one of the two scary paths, and there are a few different endings depending on which way you choose to go. For the price of just $9.99, it's well worth the initial scares, but what makes this game even better is watching other people try to make it through the Manor without ripping off the headset in fear. Alright, so what is the best local multiplayer game? One awesome aspect of VR is when you can play local multiplayer while one person is wearing the headset and the other players are interacting with them using mobile devices. There are a couple of games on the Quest to allow that playstyle, but the best by far, in my opinion, is Akron Attack of the Squirrels. In Akron, the VR player takes on the role of a giant tree who is trying to protect the golden acorns. The other players play as squirrels trying to capture the acorns, and they play the game on their mobile devices with the Akron app. The player in VR will throw projectiles at the squirrels, trying to protect the golden acorns, while the other players work together to capture all 4 of the acorns. The more mobile players, the crazier it gets, and it's a ton of fun playing all in one room together as people are yelling, screaming, and laughing trying to win the game. You can also play online with friends from wherever they are as well. Akron is $19.99. How about family-friendly games? Are there any of those? Yep, I'll give you 2 of my favorites. If you're looking for a family-friendly series of games, it's hard to go wrong with either Job Simulator or Vacation Simulator. In Job Simulator, you'll be tasked with performing various jobs from a chef to an office worker, among others. Perform various crazy tasks, or just mess around and have a ton of fun. In Vacation Simulator, it's time to take a break from jobbing and go out on a fun-filled and crazy vacation. Both games are a lot of clean fun that'll keep kids and adults alike laughing and playing for hours. Job Simulator is $19.99, while Vacation Simulator is $29.99. The other amazing game that is purely family-friendly fun is The Curious Tale of the Stolen Pets. In this diorama-style game, you have to explore the environments to uncover the pets pets that have gone missing. The friendly voice of your grandfather narrates this game, and it's just pure innocent fun. The Curious Tale of the Stolen Pets is $14.99. What are some of the best experiences to share with first-time VR users? One of the most fun games to watch people play has to be Richie's Plank Experience. Over the weekend, I brought the Quest to a family function and watched my brother-in-law run out of the way of a speeding bus in this game, and it was hilarious. In this game, you're brought up in an elevator and tasked with walking out on a plank over this city. You can set the plank length and width to what you want, and I highly recommend using a real piece of wood for an even more immersive experience. This game is $14.99. The other game that is simple to play and a great way to introduce people to VR is Super Hot. In Super Hot, time moves only when you move, and the goal is to eliminate all of the red enemies, whether that means punching them, shooting them, or even hitting them with a coffee cup or frying pan. This is a VR staple, and if you haven't played it, then you really should. And it works as an amazing and easy to play game for those new to VR. Super Hot is $24.99. Well, that leaves us with some miscellaneous games I wanted to mention that I wasn't sure what category to put them in. First up, The Climb is one of the most exhilarating games on the Quest. It's thrilling to play, it looks great, and you'll feel a real sense of accomplishment once you make it to the top of the mountain. The Climb is $29.99. Another awesome game that doesn't quite fit anywhere else is Raccoon Lagoon. This game is like a first-person Harvest Moon style game where you can chop wood, grow gardens, explore, and just have a grand time taking care of the cute little characters in the game. You can sink hours into doing missions and managing your crops, and if you like lifestyle simulators, then this one is a ton of fun. This game is $14.99. I also have to mention National Geographic VR. If you love the thought of traveling around the world, then this is a great way to do that. There are 2 experiences out right now, one of which puts you in the Arctic and has you kayaking in the ocean, watching whales swim underneath you, while the other experience brings you to Machu Picchu. Both are a lot of fun, and I love this experience. National Geographic VR is $9.99. Big Screen VR really has to make it on this list as well. Big Screen VR gives you the ability to meet with friends and strangers in VR and watch movies and TV shows either streaming from you or someone else's PC on one of the TV channels available to watch, or with the addition of the brand new cinema, you can now buy a ticket and see a film in VR in a virtual cinema. The quality of the virtual cinema experience in Big Screen Cinema is honestly amazing. So those are the best games currently on the Oculus Quest, but if you want to check out what games are coming soon that you can look forward to on the Quest, check out my video right here. Thanks so much for watching, and happy questing.